Hello everyone, Star Ultros here, coming back with news for FFBE JP. The latest update. So today we're keeping on with a FF8 themed banner with Inherited Sorceress Power Renoa. And as we knew from last week's data mine, Ultimecia was coming this week as well with the new SBBs. We're going to cover those two units and whatever events we have coming up as well. So let's get right into it with Renoa first. Um, so her elements aren't what I was expecting. Well, her elements, her categories on top of it, aren't what I expected at all. So what I was expecting was something like dark, wind, and whatever else they wanted to slap onto her. They went a completely different route because they'd rather follow the meta than I guess whatever they did before. So now what it dictates is she's light, ice, and lightning because light and lightning are pretty strong right now. So maybe they're trying to just you know push in ice a little bit more on top of it as well. We'll see. FF8 obviously rebellion because she was the leader of was it the resistance or whatever in FF8. Then the gathering, guardians, flowers of the battlefield obviously, and transcendent. Her TMR is a materia with 75% LB damage and some 50% double hand for magic. So quite nice. Um, but mm, I mean, usually you don't really want to have like those 25, like those extra 25 cuts, but whatever. You have it there. Her STMR, they're very good. Finally pushing up the envelope for magic. So it is closed, so that's not a robe. It's closed for 128 magic, an extra 30% magic at MP, which is very nice, and 500 flat magic for her. Vision card, as usual, we just skip over because who cares? And her EX3 ability is a Reaper Overkiller Materia for 50%. Now, if we go look at her kit, at EX1, she is getting the 500% LB damage. At EX2, she is getting another 250 light and peril. So for people who don't have Knights of Grandshelt, the Return of the Lost Nation version, then you can have the 250% imperil from her. Or if they're both on the team, then you can go for two bursts. She also has a 300% amplify for both lightning and light because those are the best elements right now. Well, there's fire as well, but not for her because she's not fire. And let's forget about ice because why would we support the new element we're pushing in, right? Then the rest of her kit, the usual with the LB buff. She has this ability here on a one-turn cooldown that's pretty interesting. So it gives her 600 MP split over 2 turns, so it's 300 per turn on 2 turns, which will also change her chaining abilities up here. So it gives her also focus, and then it changes the chaining abilities here, which is like it's a quad cast Chaos Wave Awaken. So she can only chain with another friend or someone who's using the Aranese Ring or somebody else who has quad cast with Chaos Wave Awaken. So probably not the best idea unless like you have something that will go through the entire chain and you can throw her inside. Otherwise, you need to have someone who's really going to chain CWA with her. She does have all three of her elements. It's 5,000 time here, but she does have some modifier buffs. I think bringing it all together to 9,500, if I'm not mistaken. So it's all right. It's pretty good. It's not as good as her LB, but yeah, it's working for the other elements anyway. Now she has also a field area for Imperil. So it's 150, sorry, not 100, it's 180 Imperil for Ice, Lightning, and Light to all enemies. So that's AoE, which is pretty nice. And also the field for 50% to these elements as well. Um, so, like it's not a 75% Imperil, but at least it's an Imperil for 3 different elements. So you can mash more elements together if you want there with her on the team. She does have this here for an extra 3,500 times modifier for her chaining abilities, and at EX1 she also gets an extra 1,000. So yes, it is 9,500. That also focuses and gives her a 100% amplify to all 3 elements for 2 turns. She has some LB fill for herself, unfortunately only herself. and she has some skills unlocked here that she can get for only one use here with her ability here. Her passive abilities, well, she's immune to a couple of stats damage, which is nice, but we have also a a field effect when you're evoking Diabolos with her because her previous version had a field like a dark field with that. So they're keeping Diabolos there, but since she isn't dark, instead of giving her a dark field with it, now she is getting a stat buff field for only 100% for attack, defense, and magic and spirit. So you're probably, if ever you're using this, it's probably going to be just to get rid of an enemy bad field. When you have nothing else to, like when you have nobody else to take care of it, she could do it in a clutch moment. Otherwise, this is never going to be used unless you have nothing else at all. Like, obviously, if you have nothing else at all, it's better to have this and nothing. But this is not going to be a big difference in my opinion. But she also has this here that's very interesting. So if we go look directly at it, it's here. What it does is imperil ice, lightning, and light to every enemies by 180% at the beginning of the fight, and also apply her field for 2 turns for the 50% imperil to all elements. So you're gonna start the fight with a 230 imperil to all those elements, which is very good. Obviously, she doesn't break the enemies with those, so you're gonna need to have somebody else to handle the break. But usually, we always bring another breaker anyway, even if we're using one of those like one hit, well not one hit KO, but one turn KO team. But she is definitely going to be very good for those. Looking at the rest, we have the ability she can unlock. So she has a little break here with Angel Cannon, one of her limit breaks. Yeah, limit breaks in the game where she was shooting her trusty dog with her throwing weapon thingy on her arm. This is something that's going to break the enemies for 85% on attack and magic, and 87% for defense and spirit. It's all enemies as well, which is nice. So this is AoE. This is definitely not something for chaining, but it will deal some damage, and it's imbuable. It's magic damage, but imbuable. It will imperil ice, lightning, and light for 160% if ever your previous imperil has been removed. And also, she's going to imperil a bunch of weapons for 40%. Unfortunately, Great Sword's not there, but we're always going to be bringing somebody else with better imperil for those weapons anyway. Well, most probably. If not, well, I mean, it's still better than nothing for sword and rods, which are still pretty common, and throwing weapon for herself as well because she's going to be using those, of course. Then she has a tag chaining ability if you want here. Um, it's not a lot of damage, but if you need some tag chaining, she can help out there. She has also an ability for 70% general mitigation to all allies. Wow. All allies, 70%, pretty good. Unfortunately, if you don't have the other mitigations, you might still take quite some damage from the attacks, but if you have the other mitigations or you're missing this one, you're going to be very good for survivability. And then she has another one where it's not tag chaining, it's just an AMOE chain. Once again, it's imbuable magic damage at 1500 times. So if ever you can't, fit her chaining abilities, anyone use her chaining abilities, this could also do with well, not slightly, with a lot with a lot less damage, but still, it's there. Now she also has Dispel, Dispel Gun, which is very interesting on a unit, because this way she can multicast it, and it's much easier to do the redirect Dispel on your team when you want to do that. So instead of using like the full Dispel on the boss and on yourself as well, or having to give the old 5-star Lena's STMR to someone and have it double cast, like you can have it directly on her. She can cast something else first, then that on second, then she can do whatever you need her to do. Then her leader skill is a 1500 times sorry not times 1500% attack and magic on flowers of the battlefield, or FFA. So this time it's really an or, it's not an and. We can finally read the wiki properly. So it would be if they're flowers of the battlefield, or if they are FF8, they are going to benefit from her leader skill. So that's pretty good. You know, having a flat FF8 or flat Flowers of the Battlefield with nothing else in terms of requirements. But I think, if I'm not, maybe I'm mistaken, but I think that Fang also had something for Flowers of the Battlefield. Correct me if I'm wrong. I most likely am. I don't use Fang a lot. She is an overdrive unit, and her overdrive is for Guardians once more. So we do have a lot, and I mean a lot of Guardians. Guardians overdrives. Hers is a 30% damage increase and 100% LB damage. So this is not one of those fields. It is really just a damage increase and LB damage increase, like lightnings, for example. For Guardians once more. So as I was saying in my previous video, Guardians are eating good, and they are definitely looking at dominating the meta much more than Rebels um, have been doing before. So Guardians are really, really looking strong right now. Her LB, and remember she's overdrive, so that's spammable as much as you want. Is a AMOE chaining ability that you can also choose the elements. It can be lightning, it can be ice, it can be light. Um, it's 1280 times modifier. It also has included the 60% throwing weapon in peril, which is amazing for herself. Because most likely nobody else except maybe Ace is going to be using throwing weapons, but now at least it's not going to be any damage loss for whoever is using them. But it's probably most likely going to be only herself using it, so she's always going to have that covered for herself. Even if you're using the regular well, sorry, even if she wasn't NV plus, I was thinking SLB. I'm just so used to everybody being SLB. Never mind that. So yeah, the 60% in peril there. She also has a 500 flat MP recover for the entire team, which is very nice. Because this is something that doesn't cost MP, and you're gonna want to be spamming this as much as you can. So she's always gonna be recovering MP for your team. On longer trials, that's very good because MP has been a problem on, say, those new Grace trials, or the light Grace trial where we're fighting to keep our MP on the first battle. If you've tried like me in the past couple of weeks because of those coins, the coin missions that we had, I know I did. I know I struggled. I finally made it, by the way, if anyone wanted to know. I made Grace of Light, and it's not because I like devised a special strategy or anything. I just copied whatever Kojimaru was doing, which is why I didn't record anything to show you like a guide. I feel like I would just be stealing his content. I don't think it's really good for me to just copy his strategy and just send it for you to rewatch again. Just go watch this video if you want a strategy that works. Um, it worked for me. It should work for you. There is a lot of RNG involved in the fight though, so you will need to restart a couple times. It might seem hopeless. It might seem like you're doing something wrong. You are not. The first fight is just infuriating, and the second fight can also be kind of frustrating because he's gonna berserk someone, and it's not provocable. So you gotta hope that he doesn't provoke someone that is crucial to your strategy. But you could always adapt around it. I'm gonna say like it can look dire. You can go maybe an extra turn sometimes, but you can usually find your way around it. It's not that hard. It's just frustrating. So yeah, sorry, that was my little tangent here. Let's return to units. Now let's go look at Ultimecia, or Ultimecia. I don't know how you pronounce it. I keep saying that. So she is an SLB unit that you're gonna get by beating her SLB, the true SLB that will be released after maintenance. I'm gonna say right off the bat, I was very impressed with her kit. I think she's really, really good for a free unit. That's a really good kit she has and really good stuff. So let's get right into it. Her elements are dark, fire, ice. So she can kind of intersect with Rinoa on ice. She's obviously FF8, Serious Boss Battle rewards because she's a free unit, Harbinger of Chaos because she's an SBB unit, and she's also Transcendent, just like Rinoa because story. I don't really know what Transcendent units are supposed to be, but she's one. Her TMR, very, very good TMR here. It's an accessory. Oh, never mind. It's not that good. It's only for her. Well, I was excited for a second because that's a lot. Like it's a lot of magic. 88 is pretty good. Also giving chain speed, so that would have been very, very useful for other units. But it's only for her, so let's scratch that. And her STMR is the usual for those SBB units. So all status ailment resistance, and also 80% to two different elements. For her, it's water and wind. And then her EX3 ability is for FF8 units, 500 attack and magic, so it can go either on Squall, on Laguna if ever he wants to use it, or Rinoa. The rest of her kit. So at EX2 is where she gets her stuff, nothing at EX1. So EX2 is the 500% LB damage buff, and also 200% dark amplify for herself and a friend because we know that the SBB units kind of all hang out together on the dark team. So very good for dark, having that 200% amplify here. Um, she also has at EX3 this ability here for a 100% amplify to all three of her elements, an extra 2000 times modifier to her chaining abilities and focus. Sorry. Then the rest of the kit, the usual. The multicast will. I didn't mention it with Renoa, but she can't multicast her chaining abilities because they're quad CWA. Same thing with Ultimecia. Yeah, she can't multicast it either. And if she used it after using her EX3 modifier buff, this one here, then it will be a stronger version of the attack as well. It also imbues her for some reason. So like it would always be 2,000, an extra 2,000, so it would be 7,000 times here. On top of other things she has, if we keep looking at the rest of her kit. Oh well, I guess that's the reason why she imbues. Never mind. And now here she also has, and that's very interesting, a 75% imperil for dark. So it's a field for 75% imperil for dark, which is first of its kind in a free unit. Very, very good. Pulling the SBB units into new depths, like that's very good. Um, so some other elements don't even have anything close to that. Like I'm looking at you, wind. I'm looking at you, earth. I'm looking at you. That's it, wind and earth. um, Otherwise, she has a Magnus here to decrease the cooldown of a unit. All the cooldowns for one by one turn. So that can be good. It's just one. I know it's 5 users per battle. She has a lot of those time manipulation things because story reasons in FF8. If you've played the game, you understand why it matters. Like, well, not why it matters, but why she has these. It really makes sense. That's great. I think they really like built her kit to fit her really well. I really like the way they did it. Like, can't say I'm that much a fan of FF8. Like, it was an okay game, not like the best game out there, but it was a good game, and I really enjoy what they're doing here. She also has a cooldown ability here that will increase the LB gauge of an ally for 3 turns. Like, it's gonna fill the LB gauge fully for 3 turns. So you use it once, it's gonna fill it back to full. Next turn, back to full again, and another turn after to full once more. So it's something you're really gonna want to use to like burst continually with a say an overdrive unit. So that's very, very good to do sustained damage. I think it's insane that we have this, especially when with the rest of our kit. When we're gonna look at the other cooldowns, because this is on a 5 turn cooldown, but let's keep in mind that she has time manipulation stuff. She can apply stop to enemies for when that matter, which is never, but she has it. She has a cooldown here on a 2 turn cooldown for herself, a 50% mitigation for the entire fight, heals her back to full, and also decrease cooldown ability timer, so she can reduce her cooldowns by 2 using this, which means she can basically use it every turn to heal back to full whenever you want. But also reduces the cooldown of this, so you can use that on a different unit later, or you can use it on the same unit after the 3 casts. Because she also has another ability that will reduce the cooldowns by 2 here on a 6 turn cooldown, making it, if you use this like the other ability here another time, then every 2 turns you could cast this. You don't want to cast this like every 2 turns anyway, but to reduce the cooldowns, it could be useful. It also heals her back to full, and it gives her an 80% amplify to her 3 elements for the entire fight. It is dispellable, so if ever you get dispelled, you're gonna need to reapply it if you want. Um, but it's like she has a lot of things that will stay for the entire fight, which is very, very good when you don't get dispelled. And last but not least, she has a modifier buff by 1,000 for her chaining abilities. Also heals back to full here on that 10 turn cooldown. It is available on turn 10, which means that using these things will help to be able to get everything going. But it's for the entire fight, the mod buff, and she also gets 150 killer to all races for the entire fight once you cast this. So like everything she casts is for the entire fight, which is extremely good for sustained battles. I'm really impressed by what she has. Then she gets in her passive an extra 1,000 to her chaining ability at EX2, which brings it to a total of 10,000 times modifier if my math was good, which is basically on the same level as her LB. We're just gonna go and look at it. The rest, I think, was nothing to write. Oh, she is immune to Stop and Charm. Yeah, I was about to say nothing to write home about, but there you go. Stop and Charm immunity, which unfortunately we can't see on the character screen. For some reason, they don't want to show it yet. But we can see the amount of stacks of guts we have on a unit, though. I hope one day they're going to add this so we can see it on the unit, because I don't know if you're like me, but I don't remember who's immune to Charm and who's immune to Stop, and I will always gear everyone with resistance to it whenever I need it on a fight. So that could save us some gear sometimes. Then she has, the usual SBB units abilities. Here the 300% stat buff for all stats for the entire fight from the beginning of the fight, and also, yeah, that's it. An extra 100% MP, which I think all SBB units have been getting. She also has the Spelga. Um, so like if you're using just her, or if you're using just Renoa, that's pretty good. That's pretty nice. I like having the Spelga on units. It can always be useful. It's less of a headache. So keep doing it. We need more dispellers. She is an SLB unit, unfortunately, and her SLB, like the full modifier, is 1190 times. She also adds more. Oh yeah, she adds more modifier to her chaining ability using her SLB. Oh wait. Oh no, she doesn't. She doesn't do it with her base LB. That's fine. Okay. So her SLB will make her chaining better while you're waiting for the SLB to be back. Yeah, that's it. Um, it also gives 50% magic mitigation to your entire team, which is pretty nice. And also, it breaks the spirit for one enemy because she's doing damage to one enemy by 87. And well, I don't know why I read it like completely bottom up. Should have done the other way around, but you understand. And 180% Dark Imperil as well. So all this on her SLB. It is an AMOE chain, so now mages are now chaining AMOE, which is fine. It's just straying some more from the CWA, even though it's still like triple CWA or triple AMOE is still the same amount of hits. It's just not the same frames, so it might be harder to chain them together. Um, but if you use, 2 AMOE mages, who cares? No one's gonna notice, and they can mesh better with physical teams that way. So like, you having more uniform chains is always a better thing, I guess. Even though I did like the days of creativity when you had to weave in something with an SR, and the SR was a pain in the ass to try to try and chain, but that's fine. So I think they will synergize well together on an ice team, Renoa and Ultimecia. Is Renoa a must pull? In my opinion, no. And is Ultimecia a must pull? Well, you can't pull her, so just go and do the SBB and get that unit already. And if you have all the other SBB units, she's going to be great with it. If you have an Arden to lead the team, you're going to have a freemium team, let's say. That's going to be pretty good. So, like newcomers to the game, if they lucked into an Arden with their first pulls, then they kind of have a pretty good free team with all the SBB units. With Ultimecia here, really helping out the damage with the Dark Field and all the other support she can do. All the other support she can. I really love this. Having an LB battery like basically on demand on a unit that can also deal damage during the time she's doing it as well. Like this, that's so good. Anyway, like I love it. I love her. I think I'm gonna go and like I haven't done all missions for all the SBBs to get all the fragments and the pearls. I think I might go for her though, in case Dark becomes meta a little bit more later on, and she can fit in there. I would love that. Anywho, moving on to the events. So we have a raid this week. Our raid week's always more relaxing than a Moogle King. So by all means, go there and get your rewards. It's good to get more cactuars there, um, and some money if ever you're starting and you don't have enough of those turtles. But I don't think it should be much of a problem to anyone by now. And then obviously we had the true SBB for Ultimecia. Ultimecia wasn't really hard as far as I can remember. She only had one form and she was using mostly fire damage and some physical as well, if I remember correctly. So we'll see how they make her fight more of a headache. But I think it was one of the easier ones when it came out. And one other thing not to forget, this is not like the event banner, but that's all I could find in the data dumps. So what we have is Road to Glory that is coming back. From what we can see here, there is no new unit, so it's only Sky and Wilk still in there. And we're going to get fragments for other units. So Genesis, this is the NV plus Awakenable Yuna, as far as yeah, because she's holding her staff upwards. And this Titus could be just about any one of all 15 Tituses we have. So your guess is as good as mine for which one it is. But if ever, whichever Titus this is, you don't have to EX3. By all means, go and get some more. But here it is. This is what we're getting this week. And Dark Visions ended yesterday. So we're probably going to be getting the rewards for that as well at the end of maintenance. So look forward to that. And that's it for me today. And thank you so much for watching, and see you all in 10 days. Bye.